AIU crew, what up? Y'all guys know I don't forget about you. I have to do at least one Atheism is Unstoppable video once a week, at least, to, hey, those of you who came from that content deserve deserve to be acknowledged and appreciated. And one of the great things about Mr. Tracy's content is that I find myself disagreeing with him more often than not. And so it's a great way to supplement my channel and be have really delve into a topic that he himself says, oh well, nobody's going to talk about this, so I get to ape the video and talk about it. And this one is about suicide. Now, this is exclusively up on BitChute because TEDx, from what I can recall, TEDx did a lot of things with the copyright. And so I don't think we're going to be getting that far into the video, but the meat and potatoes of the video is about how, it's a suicide and depression and all of these other mental ailments are just really prevalent in America today. So let's get into it.
Report came out, CNN Health, and the title is this: U.S. suicide rate climbs 35% since 1999. And we're going to dive into some of these numbers, but that is pretty alarming. That's a big increase. And you'd think it would be different. You'd think life is getting better because we got the cell phones, we got the internet, we got more TV channels. That's for sure. The content is there. Cool new things, Twitter, YouTube. But in the end, what does it all mean? What does it amount to?
Absolutely nothing. There is no true purpose. And the deal is that one of the things that we can't do is pretend as if this has anything to do with any of this new technology. What's happened, particularly in the West, has been the dismantling of the family unit, the nuclear family, if you will. That sense of purpose, that sense of belonging, that sense of pride. That is one of the great sacrifices of the West, whether you like it or not. That sense of community, us coming together. It's been complete, and I hate to say it like this, but capitalism has played a large role in this due to, just the greed of it all. And so when you have generations of people who were made more on a whim, right? Via the sexual revolution. Girl, I can do whatever I want. And, you know what I'm saying? Like an abortion debate, which are things that honestly are so personal. I don't see how they could be a thing if we had stronger family units, but we haven't really pushed our policies and our legislation in that direction at all. But, continue.
These numbers are true. There's a problem. Something is wrong. Something is alienating people, and this has to be a societal thing. This is not an accident. It's not just a coincidence that so many more people are killing themselves. So I think this is a serious topic, and I'm dealing with suicide just as an interesting aspect to this. I mean, the real issue is depression, which is a vague term, I know. But I think there's a lot of people out there who are quietly miserable, and they live in a dark place, and it's embarrassing and shameful to come out and admit that you are having problems. Because it's beyond mental health issues. Depression is all-consuming. We're talking about you as an entity, you as a person. Everything that defines you is malfunctioning, or seems to be.
And here's the thing about that malfunctioning, right? I mean, shoot, everybody has trauma. I mean, like, life and experiences, they take their tolls. And with us not particularly caring how people come into this world, right? Like, I mean, like, we all know our preferences. We all know what we would like. But when it comes to the, I guess, the incentive, what's incentivized has been basically doing it the wrong way, being terrible about it. The single mother, the single parent household situation, and greed and narcissism. And that's coming from this coming from the boomer generation, right? I mean, remember Wall Street, greed is good. Like, get all that you can for yourself, everything and everybody else be damned. And unfortunately, and that's like middle class. So when we go to when we take it from the urban angle, which I do a lot, and the policies such as the drug war, the welfare state, all of these other different entities that have encouraged the dismantling of our families, then what do the youth have to turn to? One of the videos that I just dropped, that I dropped right before this one, is about a group of teenagers who beat up a woman who just got finished getting over COVID, right? So it's like what have we been doing here all this time? We've been ignoring the fact that, to an extent, we've let our families go. We've knocked out men. We've taken men out of the equation. Go ahead, girl. You can get it for yourself. You don't need a man to raise that kid. And here's the thing: generations later, these are the kids of those kids, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, what do I do? Where's my purpose? I'm a third generation, no man in the house, young man. I got all this within me, and I don't know what to do with it." Or a young lady who's going through the exact same thing.
You're not firing on all cylinders. You're not living up to your potential. You're wasting the time in your life, which is sacred and finite. And you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to dig yourself out of the hole. You don't know how to patch up whatever traumatized you in the past. You live in fear. You live in shame. You live in self-loathing. You're missing out on life. And you don't get this time back. There's no reset button.
He's right. That's why in a previous video, I said that there are certain life choices that you can't come back from. And suicide is one of them. And the deal is that what I find amazing about this is that the atheist himself, I don't know if I made this clear, this is Devin Tracy, Atheism is Unstoppable. He is an atheist. He, doesn't believe in God. But at the same time, that having that anchor there for so many people would be helpful. But unfortunately, the churches themselves are full of shit. So it's like, oh yeah, I completely understand that you like that how you can sit there and tie God to the church. I personally don't do that. God is his own. God is me. My relationship with God is my own relationship with God. I have a very strong one, and that foundation was laid there via my parents. And via having a church home when I was a kid, and knowing the faith, and knowing and just being willing and able to ask God what he would have of me, and actually feeling as if I've gotten answers, as opposed to those who walk without and church, man, please, you got my auntie pregnant, so church and religion did it to themselves. And unfortunately, but without them, right? Like, where are we? We're at these numbers that you're seeing before you, sir.
This is not a video game, unless we're living in a simulation, and it is a video game. So that's why I address this topic, because it's very important to me. The only thing that is more important is that we take this time to recognize my sponsor, agnostic.com. Look, it's very simple.
Okay, yeah, no. Agnostic.com, let's get to this.
Part of a group. After school, post work, God forbid you freelance or work from home, you got none of that. And I got news for you. Wandering into a Starbucks twice a week or 3 times and smiling at the blue-haired girl serving you coffee is not the same interaction that we need to sustain ourselves. And so we scramble, and we got webcam girls and porn and gaming and YouTube and movies and oh my God, and I'm binge watching and Joe Exotic, and here we go. What does it mean? Clearly, it's just not the same. So however people are calibrating their lives today, it ain't working. And it's not working for men worse than women. And I'm talking way worse. The data also revealed differences in suicide rates among boys and men compared with girls and women, as rates for males were 3.5 to 4.5 times the rate for females during the entire time period of the new report. And here's a graph. Total suicides in the US, 81 to 2016. And by the way, notice, from 1981 to 2001, very little change. From 2001 onward, oh my God. So the top line, that's the total. Disregard that. Look at the darker red. That's men, and women are down there. Distant second. Come on, ladies. What the hell? Look at what you're driving us to. Stop nagging, for God's sake.
And this shouldn't be surprising at all when we have this gynocentric culture that has really suppressed a lot of the instincts within our young men. I see it all the time. Young boys being admonished for being rambunctious. And it's just like, no, he just has a bunch of energy. Take him to a park, run him around a little bit. He'll be knocked out by the end of the day. But with it, particularly with it being single mothers, that's not, I do what, it's like having the child isn't particularly, what she like isn't particularly her priority, right? It's more along the lines of what she can get by having the child. And unfortunately, when that is what you are, when that's the bane, when that's the beginning of your existence, how can you, what kind of chance does that individual have? And so many young men have been just left without fathers. It's pretty ridiculous, and it always will fall back to that. Hey, this is, if we gave the mothers these choices, and we did the whole no fault divorce thing. Because I think like particularly like in the early 80s, I believe that's when that happened. And so as that progressed, particularly if you see the real spike after 2001, after it was for 9/11. I'm curious what happened in that year. But yeah, like you see, it just continues to go up because there's less, they don't have that anchor that they need.
You want to see another crazy stat? Well, before I show you that, we're having fun, aren't we? It's fun to talk suicide during a pandemic. Who does that? I saw an article like this, Business Insider. Suicide is Gen Z's second leading cause of death, and it's a worse epidemic than anything millennials faced at that age. So the Zoomer scrubs are having a worse go at it than the millennial scrubs. Check this. The suicide rate for people aged 10 to 24 increased by 56% between 2007 and 2017, according to new data from the CDC. For children aged 10 to 14, the suicide rate tripled between 2007 to 2017 after years of decline. Suicide had increased among millennials, but the data suggests Gen Z might be most at risk for mental illness. So we have lost...
Actually, yeah, 2000, and I just recalled exactly what it was that happened around 2000 and around that time, 2001. Yeah, all my counterparts were having kids. Like all millennials were like, at that point, millennials were starting to really pump out the kids, and it's their kids, their children that are having the worst go of it. And as somebody who's a millennial, I can say it's because most of them were made just on a whim, or made to, basically feed the prison system, particularly when it comes to urban America. So yeah. Yeah. Wow. Our generation did this. Our generation is completely awful when it comes to child rearing, and that's because so many of them are damn determined to have a friend and not a kid. Like, oh my God, have you seen these single mothers in action? They will sit there and have full on conversations about grown shit in front of their kids. With me and my ex, I used to tell her all the time, like, yo, kid, go. This is the adult conversation that we're having right here. And there's a reason for that, because you don't want to put that type of pressure on a child. So if you need answers as to why these suicide rates might be a little off the wall right now, particularly when it comes to the Zoomer generation, the children of the millennial generation, that's why. It's because the millennial parents suck.
The plot. Something's going on. Now, I would assume, and I did assume, that suicide was a young man's game. I thought it was people troubled in their lives, not quite knowing how to find meaning or satisfaction, not dealing with whatever trauma or molestation or whatever pain from their past, and they stumble into adulthood and it's just not working out, and then time and entropy take their toll and they just unravel. It turns out that's not even the case. Look at this. U.S. suicide rate by age. Now at the bottom, and there has been an increase, we're talking 10 to 14, we're talking Tamir Rice levels. Those little kids, they're killing themselves more. Now, the internet has to take some blame on this, because the bullying was tough enough before the internet, but bullying plus the internet, that's an ugly scene. Yep.
How? I'm sorry. When you can turn this shit off, I got my ass whooped in the 5th and 6th grade before we had the internet, and I was actually getting beat up, okay? Oh my goodness, you want to say some mean things to me online? Oh no. That once again, it falls on their parents, it falls on our generation. No. I know. Oh, the internet has to take blame for this. Then don't have your kid on the internet. Try that. But no, they need to. Really? Why? How? I'm sorry, but no, your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old, just because you sit there and throw them in front of YouTube does not mean that they need the internet. No, not even close. When we come from a generation that didn't even have TVs in the room until you were like 12 years old. Come on, miss me, family, miss me.
It might seem quaint for us to look at it and say, okay, yeah, there's some shit flinging. But when you're 10 to 14 years old, it's life crushing. It is a devastating thing to go through. And they're just...
Unless you have parents that'll sit there and tell you to get the fuck over it. And this is like in school, in actual school, fist fights and getting jumped and stuff like that. This is in actual school, not online. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say here. And like, this is where the parenting really, really comes in at.
Not equipped to deal with that level of public mockery and shame. So kids can be cruel, but kids on the internet, damn, well, you people are vicious. Have you ever been to the chat? Good Lord. The top...
Yes, 15 retweets. I'm sorry. Like 15 retweets. Oh my goodness, that's public mockery and shit. It's just some shit on the internet that the person next to you more than likely didn't even see. I mean, like we have the real world and then we have the internet, okay? And as much as we can have them intertwined every once in a while, for the most part, particularly at that age, the parents should have more control. The parents should be seeing everything that their child does online. But, I mean, our generation is just the worst set of parents. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but I will continuously lean that upon the parents and and what they instill and the foundation and the anchors that they put within that child. Because that's really what liberty and freedom of choice is about, is me saying, hey, you make whatever choice you made is the choice that you made, but like the circumstances and the environments in which you come from, they also matter. I don't believe it's just simply nurture or just simply nature. I believe it's a combination of the two, right? So like to sit here and be like, oh, well, the internet is this, because we have the internet, it's so much worse. I'm sorry. No. When Jimmy was getting hung up, when Cass was getting strung up and lynched, I think that's a little bit worse than mean words online. I'm like, come on, Devin. Nah, you're better than this.
Line, at least back in the day, was the plus 75ers. Now, I don't know if that's Dr. Kevorkian getting loose, but back in the 80s, they were just saying, okay, we're done here. Bye-bye. I'm out. Now, that's gone down a little bit, and it's dipped back up. But look who's leading the pack. Leading the pack is age 45 to 64. Those are the number one dudes, and they're mostly men, killing themselves. But just look at all the numbers. Look at all the numbers from the year 2000 on. It's just up, up, and away. You want to talk about countries? America is not the worst. We got a problem, but it's not that bad. We're this purple line right here, and this is per capita. Underneath us, the Netherlands, right there.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I mean, whoa. I mean, shit, video over, man. USA, we're doing pretty okay. I mean, if you want to sit here and put it next to the next to the rest of the world. Okay, I'm not that big of a dick. Let's keep going.
The orange, Norway, they overtook us. I thought they were pretty happy up there. The red line here, Sweden, from 75, it's gone down. They're going down. Interesting. Okay. Switzerland. See, Switzerland was supposed to be the happiest place on earth, and they were way up. They were ahead of Japan. But now Japan has overtaken them. Japan has a funky line. Look at that. Japan's just all over the map, and they've plateaued here, and they're leading the league. And it's kind of crazy because think of Japan. High standard of living, modern technology, very functional, very safe, everything at their fingertips, and yet something's wrong. Maybe this lifestyle just misses something. Now, you could zoom back and say, is this a reality?
In Japan, it is like Hikarisari, right? I know I said it wrong. It's not coming into my brain right now, but they have an honor system in Japan. They have integrity in Japan, and there is a certain level of shaming that comes along. So, to my knowledge, there is a level of shame that does come along with doing jacked up shit. And so it's not I like I don't know that culture. I don't know how they get down. I do find it rather surprising that here in the United States we're relatively low compared to other places, and Lord knows I'm rooting for you, my Japanese brothers, as well as my Netherlands, my New Zealanders, my Norwegians, my Swedens, my Switzerland brothers, all of us, man. We like I don't never want to see nobody do bad, but particularly here in the United States, because I got to keep it in my jurisdiction. That relinquishing of the family, the turning away from faith, these are all things that in the sexual liberation that has like created, oh, I like your dreads, cream pie, person made, and I don't know, go do whatever it is you want, like it's like we have our issues, and honestly, we do need to take honest and measured looks at them without question. But to sit here and be like, oh yeah, the internet did all this shit. No, man, like no, it comes down to the person and the parents of that individual and how the individual is made and what kind of educational systems and all that other fun stuff that we like to ignore when it comes to existence and reality and how necessary resources is and the like. So, we'll wrap this one up right here because it's just been a few moments. I get it. There's tons more. I'll actually leave a link to this video in the BitChute, and you guys can check it out for yourselves. But with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you like to toss it a like, dislike, go ahead, do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice. You want to get videos like this every single day. Share because sharing is caring. And YouTube and BitChute and like. I'm the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications and speak. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's sad. It really is that my generation has been so terrible at raising its young, but they have their kids rather young themselves. I remember being in high school and they were creating daycares. I'm just like, what? Why are you encouraging this? But they were like, no, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. No, this isn't going to encourage it. And it's just like, oh, wow, for real. All right, this sounds like a really bad idea. Lo and behold, I was right, but you may disagree. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, all right? And until the next one.